It's great to have you here, and I can't wait to jump into this. But before we get started, I just want to mention that you and I have just recorded a special, almost distressing video, actually, about an upcoming crisis and a financial opportunity that's not going to be available on YouTube or any of our social media channels. If anybody wants to watch that and they need to go see it, they can go to londonreal.tv/Nomi, that's Nomi, but it's only available for a limited time only, so they should check it out. I will say it is a bit distressing, but it's also an incredible way to position yourself for financial gain with this upcoming crisis we see with energy. I'll probably not give any more details right now, but I would say go to londonreal.tv/Nomi to check that out. Let's jump in here. I think the last time I saw you, we were in London, and we were all out having dinner with Robert Kiyosaki. And I think it was in the middle of dinner, he said, the reason I like Nomi is because she used to be on the inside of Wall Street. This is before you became a journalist and a whistleblower. And so she really understands what's going on and all the funny games that are being played inside there. And maybe we start with that. Can you tell me how your access, one of the youngest MDs at Goldman Sachs, has given you this unique perspective on the world?
Yeah, well, I was involved in banking. Even here as a senior managing director at Bear Stearns in London, just over at Canary Wharf decades ago, as well as an MD at Goldman Sachs, as you mentioned. And throughout all my history, all my experience on Wall Street, I was very close to all sorts of new innovations and basically how to remanufacture securities and to move money and to just look at really exotic, complex types of trades, of transactions. And it was my job to look at the numbers behind them and to run teams that looked at the numbers behind them. But what was really interesting beyond the numbers, and I am a numbers person, it was just how people were, how the managing partners acted, not to the people in the firms, but they're just general callous about people on the outside of the firms. Like it didn't even matter. And I think that was the one thing where I knew how to make money. I knew how to create analytics. I knew how to follow numbers. But that disconnect to just this humanity was something that really struck me as I was working, and one of the reasons why I quit. But also, just looking back now, I understand the psychology of Wall Street. So I feel like all of those experiences, they gave me the ability to look at even the news today, to look at financial news, business media, what analysts are saying on Wall Street even today, and understand that their real motivation ultimately is to have a lot of cheap money, to be able to do what they want with it in terms of, again, complex security creation, putting it in markets, etc. And again, not to care what the ramifications could be of those types of risky strategies. They just truly don't care.
Yeah, I got a real baptism by fire of this. It was 1993. I moved from MIT to Wall Street. I was 22 years old, and I got on the trading floor, and I got taught, the way you do business. Mm-hmm. And that is that we stick it to our customers, we stick it to the other traders, we stick it to anybody we can to jack up our P&L. Mm-hmm. And it was just like walking into like an abusive or dysfunctional family or relationship where it's like, this is just common. And that's how I learned what Wall Street was all about. They didn't teach this at the MIT Sloan School of Management. It wasn't in a book, but that's just the culture there. And it's been around for probably, I guess 100 years, but maybe, 50 years, and I don't know if it's ever going to change, but it's a mentality that then pervades the whole financial industry around the globe. And it's probably not going to change anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. The difference is that when you and I were working in the financial industry, you didn't have all this excess sort of money sloshing around like from central banks and stuff the same way that banks actually do today, whether it's direct or indirect. And so there was a sense that it wasn't us against them thing, people in the system versus everybody else, but you didn't quite have as much help, or if your positions were screwed, you kind of had to, what we called, eat them. I'm sure you know those scenarios. So you tried not to. You tried to basically bring them off onto other people or other investors. But at the end of the day, they were still, the losses that you had to take if there were losses to be taken. And that all kind of changed in the financial crisis of 2008. You're just to get a teeny bit off topic here, right? You're talking about 1993 and basically what you saw in that moment. I was working at Bear Stearns over at Canary Wharf, and I remember there was a position that the New York head office wanted to get rid of. Just a position lying around somebody's trading book that just was, gushing, hemorrhaging money. I was like, oh, go find an international central bank. Just figure out a way to make it look good and just sell it to them. And that was basically one of the things that my group was responsible for trying to do, is to create analytics that made something look better than it actually was for the team, which was, the Bear Stearns at the time. And I remember we did sell it, or the salespeople did sell it, and about 2 weeks later, the central bank dials back and is like, this thing is, we can't get rid of this thing. It's eating into our books. It's just hemorrhaging. Can you take it back? And, the response from the trading desk was like, we're not taking it back. Basically you bought it, you own it. And that, again, that mentality, it was not unique at all there. I mean, the same thing happened at Goldman with different positions, et cetera. That's just something that has not changed. It's just, again, today, there's just more of a cushion being provided to these positions and to these companies.
So if it gets really bad, you might get bailed out by someone.
Absolutely. I mean, the financial crisis of 2008 was really bad. Even in 2019, before the pandemic, I mean, one of the things that was going on was the Fed was starting to raise rates, other central banks were raising rates into 2019, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of 2019, they started cutting rates. Why? Not because of anything in the economy, though that's kind of the excuse that they use. We're helping the economy, we'll loosen liquidity. It was because Wall Street was complaining because their own corporate customers weren't trusting each other and they weren't trusting the banks. And so that idea of lending money to their own large blue chip customers was a little bit on edge. So they wanted money to be looser. And as a result, that is what happened. And that was before the pandemic, where everything just went haywire anyway, post that moment. But it started with Wall Street wanting yet more help.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.